Today's video is brought to you by our friends over at Expressvpn. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever connected to an unsecured Wi-Fi network? I know I have when I go to a coffee shop, hotel, whatever. And you know what the best part about connecting to an unsecured Wi-Fi point is when somebody else can grab those network packets out of the air. And some of those network packets could contain things like your credit card information or potentially account logins. This is why I use Expressvpn to encrypt my data and make sure that it's tunneled securely, because nobody wants to connect to any unsecured Wi-Fi without any kind of protection. Have you ever tried to watch a movie that you could only watch in the United States, but you were Canadian like me? Well, by using a VPN service, you too can bypass arbitrary licensing regulations and be able to confuse the system into thinking you're sitting there from Idaho. That's what I like to do. But you know what? What I recommended to you, I really take security on a high front, as you all know with my channel. And the reality of it is, I like using something that's operating from a country where they don't have to abide to weird government regulations regarding data retention. And I like using a service like ExpressVPN that keeps RAM-based servers versus hard disk-based servers where caches still remain. Every time you turn off the power for RAM, it's all completely clean. It's like you were never there. Ladies and gentlemen, find out how you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free by visiting expressvpn.com/SOG. Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today's video is also brought to you by our friend JayzTwoCents, whose video showed up in my feed about a week and a half ago. Now when you title a video, "Don't let Microsoft get away with this," you can expect my penguin-loving bottom to absolutely jump on and watch what it was about. And Jay made a pretty comprehensive video, 13 minutes, basically showing you the pitfalls of a Windows install process. For those of you who don't know, Windows 11 nowadays comes with a solid requirement of having the internet for the most part. Unless you install the most ultimate version, you definitely need some level of internet connectivity. He goes to show you a way to circumvent this, but also tells you, because it's Microsoft, they probably already patched it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to basically take it a little step further. What Jay showed you was absolutely a pretty bad thing. Now, let me get this started off, okay? Windows has been changing over time. Microsoft is more of a company that wants you to be stuck into its ecosystem. So it's beneficial that they have you connected to the internet when you're installing your operating system on your paid-for computer, and then also having you possibly sign up to a bunch of Microsoft services. Now, again, I want to reiterate for a second, a lot of places in the world do not have good internet or internet at all. You can go to parts of India and probably realize, wow, they're still disconnected. Even in rural parts of the United States of America, one of the richest nations in the world, the internet choices can be kind of shoddy. Sometimes you have only one option, sometimes that option likes to fist you really hard. And that doesn't even begin to talk about the fact that you can't even legally download Microsoft Windows in certain parts of the world, like Russia at the moment, where Windows 10 and Windows 11 appear to be completely unavailable, unless you, wink wink, have a VPN service at all. And even in Canada, this can be a similar situation. Parts of Europe, Africa, wherever, internet is not a certainty for every single human being in the world. Oftentimes, it's more of an extreme luxury. Now, I have a gigabit internet, and I'm sure plenty of you watching also may have gigabit internet or really high-speed internet watching these videos. And of course, in that case, we're part of the privileged few. We're part of the lucky ones. But internet is not always solid. So when people are building their computer, now, one of the largest operating systems in the fucking world relies on you having an internet connection, and that's just the newest version out there. Now, back in the day, installing Windows used to be a pretty simple affair. You found a disk, you stuck it in, you booted into it, and you'd put in the activation key, which would be on the Windows OS. Fun fact, those activation keys, as far as I know, were actually all hard-coded into the disk. They had like a special algorithm where all the keys were tied into. So I guess if you knew the algorithm, you could figure out like every possible CD key. I may be wrong on that, but that's the way that I know. And to activate Windows, you'd call into Microsoft, or sometimes later on during the XP era, the Windows 2000 era, you'd connect to a quick activation server. It pretty much stayed that way until, I would say, Windows 11. Windows 10, they kind of wanted you to jump into that network Microsoft connection stuff, like, hey, you have a Microsoft account? Oh, you're connected to the internet? Ooh, you want to create an online account? The days of local accounts on Windows are slowly looking to be numbered, but we're going to show you a way to not only create a local Microsoft account, like Jay's showed you, but also to help privatize Windows. Look, I know Windows is here to stay, okay? You're not going to get rid of Windows. It's like a venereal disease, okay? It's like crabs. Once you have it for life, okay? So you know what? For a lot of people who are like, no, Muda, I don't want to install Linux. Even some of Jay's comments that I was reading were a few people who were like, hey, at this point, just install Linux. But what if you don't want to? I know plenty of my viewers are like, no, Muda, I'm just going to use Windows. And that's fine. Look, the best part about owning a computer is doing whatever you wanted. If you wanted to install BSD, be my guest. If you wanted to still install DOS and go with that, be my guest. If you don't want to use Linux, which a lot of people don't, because let me tell you, it can be kind of infuriating, Windows is an absolute solid choice. But I'm one of those tech channels, like when I cover a tech video, I like to have my cake and eat it too. Sometimes I like to have 4 to 5 slices of cake, okay? Some of that pre-diabetic shit. So you know what? We're going to find out how to install Windows locally, circumventing it, and also, circumventing the online check that is, and also to privatize Windows, because there's plenty of ways to do it. There's a way for you to have your Windows experience and be relatively safe. You're never going to be as safe as, Linux and controlling your own system, but you'll be relatively close to it. So here I got a virtual machine for Windows 11, not installed yet. I'm going to show you the whole process. We're going to put that in, boot into our little DVD right over here, and start the process. Now, Windows 11 functionally is very close to Windows 10. So again, what they did was they squared up the old Windows logo there. We're going to go to, oh wait, they actually changed it back to normal. Okay. A bit of both, I see. So install it, and it's going to ask for you, it's going to ask a product key. Now, you can actually use Windows entirely for free. There's no, requirement that you actually have, a product key. It's just going to give you a watermark. At this point, they should just make Windows free. I mean, just give it free to everyone. Forget the watermark, because we all know Microsoft's making more money on selling Office 365 and Xbox Game Pass. And for Microsoft's credit, obviously, when they sell things like Game Pass, it's money, all right? They obviously do give a pretty good service, right? Like, hey, you give them a few bucks a month, they give you access to how many games. Anyways, we're going off topic. Now, when you get a Windows 11 disk, you have access to so many versions. If you want a local account without any internet, fuddling, you can install Pro, not Pro N. N is like some lockdown version. Pro is where you want to go with. But what Jay did was he installed Home Edition or Education or anything except Pro. We're going to install Home, and we're just going to keep it, as light as we can. So let's go over here. It says my PC can't run Windows 11. It's because it's a virtual machine. Give me a second. Let me fix it. Yeah, so anytime you want to just bypass some of those TPM checks, RAM checks, everything that's going to tell you your computer's not supported for, you want to open up a regedit like this, Shift F10 to open up this command menu, type in regedit, which is registry editor. You show up over here, you go to local machine, system, and setup, and then you can create a new little folder in it by going to edit, new, and key, and then you can just title it lab config, exactly like that. And over here you can right click, go to new, and do dword 32-bit. And you want to do bypass TPM check. And then you want to also do bypass RAM check. And again, it all has to be really case sensitive. Windows is anal about that shit. Go to modify, hit it as 1, and then just one more dword. Okay, sounds like we're putting in a slur almost. Bypass secure boot check. And right click that, do modify, and give it the value of 1, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what we can do is we can actually type in, we can actually close the registry editor. So I guess we can just exit, and hopefully it'll install. Yeah, look at that. Oh, get out of here, system requirements. Where's your God now? All right, we're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. I was watching some flat earth stuff. That's just flat earth debunking. Somehow that stuff always gets me at 2 in the morning. People believe it, dude. People believe the wildest stuff. But let's get into it, okay? Let's just join into it. This isn't a flat earth video. So, of course, what we want to do is we want to keep Windows connected to, or actually disconnected in this case, just because we want to see the actual requirement of internet, connectivity for this installation. If it requires it, that actually just means that this video is kind of null and void, because normally Windows 11 shouldn't let you do that. But here it is. We're booting up. We got the old, oh, there it is. We got the old Windows boot up process there. Is this the right country? I'm just going to say United States, okay? Why not? Let's go for it. Is this the right keyboard layout? Absolutely. It's US. Skip that. The Windows installations are all super easy. Wait! You'll need an active internet connection. No! All right, so there's a way to bypass this, and it's actually pretty easy. So what you want to do, and of course, Microsoft could change this at any moment. You want to do Shift F10 on your keyboard, and you open up that command prompt. Now here you type in Task Manager, and once you get that, you'll have access to a Task Manager, obviously. And now what you want to do is you want to get more details here. You want to find Network Connection Flow. So this right here is like this is the connection, I guess. This is the flow to Microsoft servers. What you want to do is right-click it, End Task, and as soon as you do that, it just takes you to the next step. So here you can actually, so now we're able to make a local account. I'm going to name it Bob, okay? Just why not? And if you can give it a password, I'm not going to give it a password because I'm going to throw this into the recycle bin after I'm done filming anyways. So choose privacy settings. And again, you tick all of this shit off. No, I don't want to give you my location. Don't find my device. And you can't turn off diagnostic data. It still says required only. Ink and typing, tailored experience, advertise IDs. And like Jay said in his video, I'm pretty sure Microsoft is scummy enough to change it so that if you actually want to turn these off, you actually have to flick them into yes at some point. But for now, it's no. Get rid of that, and then you go through this stage. It's going to say hello. Give it like 5-10 more minutes, and we'll get back to the video. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, a fresh virgin Windows 11 install. Now, it just connected to the internet. It now believes that there is a world outside its own. Now, of course, to prove that this is a local account, we're going to go to Settings. And in the Settings page over here, we're going to just find where my user... Yeah, it says Bob, local account. Basically, a local account means that it's not connected to any of Microsoft's services at the moment. Now, of course, if you want to get rid of privacy, or sorry, you want to like increase your privacy, there's a few extra settings that you can turn on, conveniently in the Privacy and Security tab. Inside this tab over here, we're going to go through a few options that you should actually look at. So for instance, under things like online speech recognition, where speech is, you want to go in here real quick and make sure that all of that is turned off, okay? If it is turned on, you want to make sure you turn off your voice clip contribution. Just turn all of it off, okay? Some people may have it enabled, but you definitely want to make sure it's all gone. In the general section, you want to make sure these things like are all off. See, some of those options they didn't tell you during the setup, like let website show me locally relevant content. Yeah, turn it off. All of it's off. All of it's gone. In things like inking and typing personalization, turn it off, okay? Get out of here. We don't need no personal dictionary, okay? I can spell very well. Diagnostics data, you have to give up some of your data here, okay? It is what it is. You made a deal with the devil. But with things like feedback frequency, you can in fact just turn that into never. So Microsoft never bugs you about this. In things like activity history, store my activity history on this device. No. And then clear it like a normal person. Search permissions, turn it, actually you should probably keep the adult content filtered. That's totally fine. Where it says cloud content search, they can personalize your results. No. No. History? No. Keep that history off and clear it too while you're at it. But of course, there are other things that are even deeper than just the control panel. Here we're going to have to go into the group policy editor. In some cases, the group policy editor wasn't showing up on the system. So I found this lovely little website that gave me a script to actually install it. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to open up a notepad file real quick. I'm going to copy this nice little script here, okay? And of course, if I read through it real quick, we're basically just servicing from Microsoft Windows just to make sure everything is fine. It looks fine. We're going to just copy that in here, all right? And we're going to just make sure that, yeah, it looks good. It looks fine. Now, of course, at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Save, and make sure that we actually can save it as Policy Editor .bat. And of course down here you want to make sure it's set to all files so you can save it as a batch file. Put that on your desktop, save it down, and now it's time to run that as administrator. So right click that, administrator, and we should be getting the policy tool ready from Microsoft. Operation completed! Now we can actually fire up the group editor. So all you have to do is open up the start menu, type in gpedit, or actually if it still doesn't show up, go to run, hit run app, do gpedit.msc, and hopefully you should open up something known as the local group policy editor. All right. So again, all here what you want to do is you want to find where it is a computer configuration. So click there, and you want to go to administrative templates. Now at administrative templates, you want to go to Windows components, and inside Windows components, there's going to be something known as data collection and preview builds. So open that up. Now underneath everything over here, you want to disable all of it. All of it. So again, while it says not configured, you have to go one by one, hit disable, and just, again, that's all you want to do, okay? So go over here, go to edit, disable every single thing out of here. So open it, you can go to next setting, disable them all really quickly, like this. So of course, even after all of that, you still have more things to cover, okay? They're still even deeper. And this is where we get into the task scheduler. So you don't have to do any fancy batch configuration files for this. Open up the task scheduler, and you're going to have to find the consolidator. So inside the task schedule library, you're going to open that up, go to Microsoft, you're going to go to Windows, and inside Windows, you're going to go to the Customer Experience Improvement Program. So open that up real quick, and you want to right-click the consolidator and just basically disable it, okay? See how it's like triggering at 6 o'clock indefinitely or something? Just disable it, just get rid of it, okay? And if you have any devices connected to your USB device as well, Microsoft understands that information too. So using USB CEIP, right-click that, disable that as well too. And then, of course, restart your computer. Now, of course, there's one final stage here, which is services.msc. So go down over here. I know, Microsoft is a filthy data collection business at this point. And if you were like, man, that's a lot to keep track of, it gets even deeper. Don't worry. Inside services.msc, you're going to find connected. All right, so again, we just use C a bunch of times. Connected user experience and telemetry. So again, it's running. You want to right-click that, and you want to basically go to properties. All right, and inside here, you want to stop that. So it's going to try stopping it. And then in startup type, you're going to go to disabled, hit apply, and hit OK. Again, restart your computer, and all should be disabled, or at least you think. Of course, it's never really that simple when it comes to Microsoft, okay? So that's why you want to get a little browser open, all right, little Edge action. And you want to route yourself over to a few GitHubs that you can find that just exist, okay? There's a lot of people that create Debloat GitHub, projects for Windows 11 and Windows 10. And this is where you're going to pick between the certain tools that you want. Again, be very careful when using some of these tools. They go really invasive into your Windows installation. And again, I haven't vetted every single one of these, but this is just something that people typically do on their Windows installation to not only make it run faster, but get rid of some of the spooky telemetry. And you want to start understanding some of it too. Usually with these situations, you want to find out which one is supported the most by the community and which one doesn't have anything shady going in the back. For instance, one of them is Windows Spy Blocker by Crazy Max Dev. Okay, now this person, again, I haven't tested this project myself, but they actually do create a single-use exe file that basically gets rid of a lot of the spying as they claim. Now, of course, Microsoft is saying, hey, this is a harmful file, and they may not be entirely wrong simply due to the fact that, again, these things go really invasive. So keep that, and in this case, I'm just going to run it underneath this virtual machine. So over here, they're going to ask you, hey, listen, block telemetry. So again, you want to just do one, hit enter, and over here, they're going to tell you apply firewall rules and CSI. So again, let's just do it number one, okay? And of course, at this point, you want to add things like the spy rules, right? So again, this will actually add several rules to help prevent Microsoft, or at least, your firewall to help better filter those telemetry requests. And if it looks like hacker code to you, don't be super surprised. It's just simply adding in a bunch of firewall rules. So here's like smart debloat tools, for instance, right, for your Windows installation. Now this has Windows 10, also plus. Remember, Windows 11 is not so much more different than Windows 10. So again, we can copy these scripts onto the desktop and launch them as well too. So again, right over here, we open up the terminal, and of course, Microsoft's gonna be like, hey, we're protecting. No, I want to run it unprotected, baby. Now again, it's going to ask you for your administrative prompts. And again, you got to be very careful trusting any of the software. I'm only doing it underneath a virtualized container, okay? So again, in this situation, you can activate things like the dark theme on your system. You can enable things like God mode, but of course, what's really important is you can disable things like telemetry, for instance. Disable or enable Cortana. I'm going to keep her disabled because Ain't no one like no Cortana. You can disable a bunch of tools on the system. I believe there's a few things off of my stuff, just because I've already, hardened or like secured the system anyways before. You can even remove things like Xbox. For instance, if you don't want an excess of Microsoft services, you can in fact also remove them from the system. So if you don't want things from the Xbox side, you can remove it. Let's say you're not a gamer, you don't want that extra Microsoft service, it's your choice. After all, that's the beauty of computing. Now, of course, there's a few other scripts that one could jump into, but this is basically how you debloat and secure Windows just for you. So again, going back to that beginning, center of the video, when I watched Jay's video, and he was absolutely right, you can't let Microsoft keep getting away with this. And the option is, of course, they provide an operating system. And do I expect Microsoft to just hand this shit out for free? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to your computer and the operating system that you're using, it's really up to you. Do you want to make sure that you give the least that you can to a company like Microsoft, Google, or whatever? I personally am of that mindset. Not only does my Windows system run faster, but I like the added benefit that I'm not giving an excess of data to a company that I don't necessarily trust. I do this underneath virtual machines, even when I'm using them, just to contain Windows itself. Extra security, extra privacy is obviously a big boon. Again, this is one of the reasons why I ended up using Linux anyways as a primary operating system, simply because I kept, just getting tired of doing this every update and patch and expansion to Windows's products. So again, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just trying to decouple yourself from that internet requirement that Microsoft needs to install Windows 11, but it's also there to make sure you get access to that privacy that honestly a lot of us really take for granted. So yeah, this is a simple way for you to not only install Windows 11, bypass a lot of those arbitrary system requirements, which some of them are just brain dead bad. But in this case, it allows you to debloat your system and also secure it even faster. Just as a final thing, I'm literally removing all of the crappy software that comes pre-bundled into the system. No more fucking Candy Crush, no more Facebook, none of that. It's all getting slowly eliminated from my system. Of course, though, before we continue, these scripts are really all up to your risk, okay? I can't really confirm that these scripts aren't malicious in some capacity, but you really have to find the ones that you can trust. You really have to find the ones that the community has really trusted. But tons of these scripts have been made since like the Windows 8 days. So again, this is not ever going to go away at any time soon. And I don't think Microsoft is even going to think of policing this any hard too. To be honest, most people don't do this, so I don't think they're going to bother the ones that typically go this far. But that said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.